Hi everyone, this is Alejandro Cremades, and today we're going to be talking about how to track the fundraising performance. So before we get started, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and this way you will never miss out on any of the videos that we roll out every week. So as they say, if it doesn't get measured, you don't really know what's the performance, what you're doing, how you could optimize your chances of getting that investment when you are in front of investors. In today's video, we're going to be really breaking it down for you and giving you the insights as to how you know if you're doing a good job or if there is a lot of room there for improvement. So let's get into it. So when it comes down to tracking your fundraising performance, there is actually great tools that you can use. I mean, obviously you can use a Google Drive, you can use Dropbox, you can use even a CRM to know how people are engaging, how many times are they opening your emails, what are they clicking on. All of that good stuff, those are things that you actually can do. Those are tools that you can get. So again, you want to make sure that you're using some of those tools to see, like whether they're spending time on your deck, on your materials, or perhaps, like they just don't care. When that's the case, you don't want to invest more time with that lead. Try to prioritize the time with the people that are going to be more inclined to actually make an investment. Those are going to be people that maybe on your CRM, on the tool, where you can see how they're engaging with your interactions, with your communication. Maybe someone that is opening your email a lot of times. Maybe that's someone that you want to invest in, more time to really close them and to become investors. So when you're out there, actually, one thing that you want to do to optimize so that performance is actually increasing is to have a good grasp, you and then also your team, on some of the key metrics that really showcase the health of your business over the course of time. Some of those could be the following: accounts receivable but not yet realized revenue, recurring revenue, including per customer, monthly and annual revenue, gross profit, customer retention rates and average lifespan of a customer, lifetime customer value, customer acquisition cost, including paid, organic, and blended, active users, growth rate, cash burn rate, financial runway, revenue per employee, and net promoter score. So one of the metrics to keep in mind is the amount of days that you have been out there raising money. So if you've been out there raising money for more than 3 months, then it starts to become tricky. When you hit 6 months is when you know that things are not working out at all. At that point, you need to go back to the drawing board and potentially you need to stop fundraising to try to reflect on those previous discussions that you've had and to try to implement that feedback so that you can perhaps increase the chances of getting financing from those people that you were engaging. Maybe you target them, in a few months from now with some of those changes that they suggested implemented so that you can get them excited to jump in. Then the number of investors committed could be another interesting metric. Maybe they have not given you the money yet. Maybe they need a lead investor, which is the one that comes in, puts a price tag for everyone else to jump in and invest. But essentially, maybe what they said is, hey, I'm going to commit X amount of money to your round of financing. Perhaps, there is a certain amount of money committed, or there is a certain amount of people that have committed some money whenever you get that lead investor. So those are all people that you're going to be counting towards whether understanding if there is some momentum or not. Next is the number of investor meetings. Now, remember one thing. More emails, more communication to investors may lead to more meetings, but more meetings doesn't equal to more money because investors for a living, they're meeting with entrepreneurs. But essentially, who is introducing that entrepreneur and that type of social proof and background relatedness is critical to the investor. So remember that it's not about quantity, it's about quality when it comes to meetings. You need to have warm introductions to those investors. But if you have warm introductions and there are quality meetings, you can keep track on what's the amount of those meetings, which is going to tell you whether or not you have a healthy pipeline. Because it's like sales, you need pipeline, you need numbers. The more meetings, the more quality meetings, the more chances of getting that money in the bank. Then you want to track the number of follow-ups with investors. How many follow-up meetings are you getting? How many perhaps follow-up Q&As, calls, or even maybe like emails are you receiving from those investors that are showing up interest? That is going to lead you to potential interest in your business, and that's a good metric to keep track of. So number of targeted investors that you've pitched. So for example, if you have a list of 150 people that you can get an introduction to, how many of those were you able to secure a meeting with? I mean, that's going to help you in understanding what kind of appetite there is in the market for a business and for an opportunity like yours. Also, the investor retention rate, meaning those investors that have invested in your company in the past that are reinvesting, that's going to be an excellent metric. Because if you have investors that have invested in the past and that are not reinvesting in your current round, that ultimately sends a negative signal to the market. And I can tell you how many times I have seen entrepreneurs that unfortunately the investor didn't come through, didn't reinvest, and then other investors are left with, potential new investors obviously, are left with thinking, hey, they're not investing, there's probably something wrong with this business, and they don't end up investing. And that, in many instances, is leaving the company to die. So you want to always have those existing investors excited about the future, being up to date, so that you do a good report, with them, so that they have the trust and they know what's coming. And when that round opens, they jump in, because that's going to tell a lot to other new investors that you're trying to pitch to get on board as well. Existing investors are great for introductions. So this is another interesting metric. So how many of your investors, existing investors, have made introductions to other investors in their network? In many cases, those investors, they co-invest with other investors. The venture world is very small. Everyone knows each other. So how many of your investors have made introductions to others? Are they excited enough to grab the phone and make those phone calls so that you can secure that round? Then you can take a look at the pitch deck views. I mean, there's tools like, for example, DocSend that allow you to see who is viewing your slides, how many times, what are the slides that they viewed the most, and there's other tools that you can use. Now, you gotta be careful here, because in many instances, for those type of tools to really make sense, the investor is gonna need to input their email. And to input the email, to be able to view anything, that's friction. And fundraising is not about adding friction, it's about removing friction. Now, if you're able to come across tools where the investor doesn't need to input anything to actually view what they're seeing, that's great. Maybe you can track the actual views without having to track the actual individual, because also some people are concerned about those kind of like tracking tools. So be careful with that, and perhaps use it to your benefit when it comes to the views and the analytics that you may be able to have access to on your presentation. What about your LinkedIn views? Who has viewed your profile? The premium membership of LinkedIn is great. You can actually have access to see who's viewed your profile in the last month or perhaps couple of months. And there is going to allow you to see maybe there's someone on that venture capital firm or on that angel group, or maybe even that individual investor that you're looking to target. They're looking at your profile. They're looking at your bio to see your expertise, your skill sets, what you've done in the past. Those are going to be people that are engaged, that are interested in learning more about you, in learning about what you're building. So that could be another great metric or something to keep in mind to do those follow-ups and close that investor that has interest. The data room that you've put together, which is essentially that room, that perhaps folder on Google Drive or on Dropbox that you've created, how many people are viewing that? You can actually track this on the analytics. So you want to know how many times they've viewed it, what are they viewing the most, what kind of documents they like to download, or that kind of stuff, so that it leads you to believe what kind of momentum is happening. because the diligence room is one of the last steps to actually close the round. Here's where they actually verify your claims. There's enough interest to go one step above, to really try to put your company through the X-ray and really see if it makes sense or not to follow through. But this is one of the last steps to actually give you the money. So if you have a lot of views and a lot of momentum on your diligence room, that is a very, very good signal. So then take a look at the actual funnel from top to bottom. So obviously the top is when you're getting the introductions and the bottom is the dollars raised. So you want to see out of the people at the top, how many people you were able to push all the way to the bottom and really give you that money. The rule of thumb is that per 100 meetings that you get with 100 different investors, one of them is going to tell you yes when it comes to making an investment. So if you put that into perspective, what kind of perhaps performance are you getting? What kind of results? So obviously dollars raised is an easy one, but you want to really benchmark that and put that in parallel with the people that you have at the top of your funnel. Then perhaps on your CRM, you want to take a look at the percentages. So you want to take a look at the open rates on the emails, you want to take a look at the click-through rates, at the response rate, and really put that into perspective and know whether or not those are good numbers if you put them with industry numbers. So this is going to help you in understanding how to optimize perhaps the language, perhaps the subject line, the email. You always want to constantly iterate. Use maybe different templates, different formats, so that you can see where you're getting the best results and really go all in when you find certain email or language that is performing the best. So when it comes to fundraising, you're going to have the cold approach to the investor and you're going to have the warm approach to the investor. On the cold approach, you're going to see that that's going to destroy your metrics because you're going to be having a lot of numbers, a lot of quantity, but then not a lot of investments. On the warm side, you may have a few meetings and that's all it takes to actually close the money. So that's why I'm always going to recommend you to make sure that you're getting someone that is already in communication, perhaps in touch with that investor that you're looking to target. And typically the best profile of people to make that introduction is entrepreneurs that have received an investment in the last 6 to 12 months from that investor that you're looking to target. Because ideally those people are still getting to know each other with the investor, they're still in the honeymoon, nothing bad has happened in their relationship or in their company. And that's why perhaps they're great people to really open that door for you, because that is also going to help to reduce the amount of time that it takes from first touch point to money in the bank. So hopefully you like this video today, and if that's the case, please hit a like. Also leave a comment below and let me know what you're thinking in terms of tracking your own performance, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on all the videos that we roll out every week. And if you're raising money, shoot me an email at alejandro@pantheraadvisors.com. I would love to help you out. Thank you so much for watching.